to all of you. I'm glad that I had the time to get a cup of coffee. And first and foremost, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for your presence, for having me here, to Domingo Garcia for his kind invitation to come to this important congregation, to Rafaela Swant and Juan Proaño for the invitation to join LULAC's National Convention. It is an honor to be with the organizer of the largest mega marcha of nearly 500,000 people in support to correct the broken immigration system. I also want to recognize Congresswoman Nanette Barragan, who received the Otley Award, and it's committed to migration, climate change, education, health and housing, all humanistic issues. And also, I would like to say hi to the Consul of Mexico here in Albuquerque. Members of LULAC, your tireless efforts to improve the well-being of our communities deserve nothing less than praise and recognition. Today, I wish to discuss the significance of the U.S.-Mexico relationships as we celebrate 200 years of diplomatic ties. As American poet Robert Penn Warren once wrote, history cannot give us a program for the future, but it can give us a fuller understanding of ourselves and of our common humanity so that we can be better to face the future. The history of the U.S.-Mexico relations is remarkable, reflecting a radical transformation from a past marked by invasion, resentment, and distance. We have evolved into strategic partners, seeking a common future on shared values. It is crucial not to let narratives that fuel fear define one of the most significant bilateral relationships in the world. The time calls for a new perspective. We are not only neighbors or friends. We are not only just allies, partners, and family. We are roommates. And that gives both of us a very important commitment. Geopolitical realignment demands that we understand the true value of Mexico and the Mexican communities to the U.S. They say that each generation meets its historical watershed moment. As the U.S. enters a new electoral cycle and Hispanics, migrants, and even Mexico are used as political tools, we must remain vigilant and united in our focus. Let us acknowledge the significant changes that lie ahead for the U.S.-Mexico bilateral relationship while putting our achievements into perspective. The health and economic crises of these times have made visible what previously was invisible. They have made it evident that the United States heavily relies on Hispanic, Mexican, and migrant workers. According to the Department of Labor, the number of Hispanic workers in the labor force has grown from 11 million in 1990 to 30 million in 2020, and is projected to reach 36 million in 2030. Essential sectors of the United States and Mexico had to align to continue functioning properly during the pandemic, highlighting our economic integration and interdependence. Two important facts. Our two countries trade $1.5 million per minute. And listen to this. Mexico buys more goods from the US than the whole Eurozone countries combined. Our trade and proximity allow us to create an integrated North American supply chain in which Mexico and the US trade while manufacturing goods together. This means that our economies don't compete against one another. They mostly complement each other. COVID-19 and the invasion of Ukraine were very sad wake-up calls from which we have to learn. They show us that the US cannot afford to depend on distant regions for strategic components such as medical devices, batteries, biotech, or semiconductors. This is why nearshoring has made Mexico the US biggest asset in its geopolitical competition with China. And this is not only trade. Mexico and the US and Canada integrating a competitive and humanistic North America region with a key role to play in issues that affect the whole world. These open vast opportunities before us that are the foundations to confront our substantial challenges. Migration and security are two hot-button issues that demand careful consideration and full commitment. On the migration issue, we have maintained close communication with government decision makers, Congress members, and think tanks about the relevance of thinking about migration in a broad context and the need to understanding it is a constant global macro phenomenon. We have to work together, and LULA is a very important part of this to fix very complex immediate issues like DACA, to build a stronger coordination with our consular network, to continue to protecting the rights of these young people, and insist in the Congress the comprehensive migratory reform we are all waiting for. As I said before, migration is a constant global phenomenon. When I went into Baja California border, there were 80 different nationalities. So the important task is to build a legal, secure, and regular pathway with a policy with a regional perspective. We have worked to raise the need to think new schemes, including the idea of circular migration and temporary workers. We are already the third country, Mexico, with the highest number of refugees applications worldwide. From 2019 to 2022, Mexico registered the historical figure of 430,000 people who applied for refugee status in Mexico. The border is a vibrant place. The border is a vibrant place and shouldn't be only known through those who exploit it in the media for political purposes. Building an objective narrative of the strength of our border must be one of our priorities. We cannot escape addressing drug trafficking and consumption. These are two sensitive issues that require a strong bilateral cooperation with the US with the use of comprehensive solutions. Fentanyl's impact, in particular, needs a multifaceted approach, combining law enforcement efforts and at the same time tackling the root causes of addiction. A few members of Congress, with a blatant disregard for other countries' national sovereignty, have used this immense problem, trying to score some electoral points at the expense of the US-Mexico relationship. Others have claimed the Mexican government is doing nothing to tackle this scourge. These narratives seem focused on stoking resentment and advancing panic than putting forward workable solutions. So I want to set the record straight. Mexico is a committed partner of the United States against fentanyl. In the last 4 years, Mexican authorities seized a record number of 1,400 pounds of fentanyl, destroyed 1,300 clandestine laboratories, and confiscated 3.9 million pounds of precursors. You know how many lives these seizures have saved? Lives are constantly saved by the actions of brave men and women that fight against transnational criminal organizations. But sadly, these warriors are the ones that lose their lives. Last year, 75 Mexican Security Forces members died fighting against fentanyl trafficking. Law enforcement and fights against consumption are two sides of the same coin. One crucial aspect of this approach is addressing the flow of weapons into Mexico. Up to 70% of traced guns and ammo used in crimes in Mexico turn out to have been originated mostly from US gun stores in Arizona and Texas. That's why Mexico has brought lawsuits against the gun manufacturers and dealers to make them stop supplying the cartels through these irresponsible sales to traffickers. According to a study made by Latino Donor Collaborative, the Hispanic community contributes with more than $3 trillion to the US gross domestic product. This figure is greater than the GDP of Great Britain, India, or France. Organizations like LULAC play a vital role in raising awareness and advocating for the recognition of Hispanic rights and empowerment. The El Paso attack committed 4 years ago today serves as a tragic reminder of the need to protect our community members and challenge discrimination and prejudices. We must survive the empowerment the Latino and Mexican community in the US. Another illustration of our commitment is the initiative the embassy, the federal government have undertaken to support eligible citizens in becoming naturalized. The best opportunity is Domingo Garcia, who had the chance to go to the university in Mexico. That's an example, with an exchange program playing a fundamental role in the upbringing of his growth as a leader. This is why me as an ambassador and LULAC leadership recognize the importance to implement a program where LULAC youth can go to Mexico on exchange programs, as well as Mexican nationals coming to the US. This will provide them with enhanced legal protection and enable them to actively engage in their communities. Dear all, in this Unity Breakfast, we know we can accomplish more working together. Our shared values and the power of our geography led the US and Mexico to choose cooperation over conflict and collaboration over distrust. Our partnership isn't a coincidence. It's the result of a strong belief and a true need of working together. As we approach the election, it is crucial to step up our efforts in safeguarding our communities and our migrants. Let's continue raising our voices and acting together for the sake of our people and the sake of our bilateral relationship. We count on LULAC for this endeavor. Thank you very much.